All right, welcome to my channel. If you're just stopping by, this is your first time here, welcome, welcome. Or if you are a returning faithful subscriber, appreciate you viewing this video. Today we're going to be taking a look at how you can remove stubborn glue from the wall. In this particular case, I have a backsplash from a bathroom vanity that I removed, and there was glue stuck on the wall as well as silicone. This stuff can be a royal pain in the butt to get rid of. So how do you do it? And then I will mention, of course, how to fix it using a textured spray and paint so that you can barely know that it's even there. Now, of course, this is DIY style, so no fancy, footwork, no professional results. But what I'm doing here, and this is pretty effective, we're going to start with the silicone, 100% silicone stuck on the wall. So take a putty knife, and you're going to be kind of, just like you can see in the video here, I'm trying to get the long strip off first. So just kind of nudging it, scraping it a little bit until you can get a little bit of length, and you can pull it off. And then with a washcloth, you can see you can rub off the rest of that. And you might get into the drywall a little bit if you are removing this from drywall, but it rubs off pretty well with a washcloth. Pretty manual, obviously. It does help to heat up the silicone with a hairdryer first to help it make it a little more pliable and kind of rub off a little easier. So that would be one tactic or one approach. You can see there we're getting pretty smooth. Now, another and my preferred way is to actually use a multi-tool. I just have a regular wood blade on the end of my multi-tool. And if you don't have one of these, I highly recommend you have this in your arsenal of tools in the tool belt or the tool, the toolbox. And I'll put a link down below for this one. I have a DeWalt, and it's awesome. I think it costs like 80 bucks or something, and it does a lot of different things. But anyway, here's another shot of what I'm doing first, trying to get rid of the bulk of that silicone. And obviously I'm having that blade parallel to the wall. I don't want to dig into the wall, and I'm trying to lift it up. You want to find that sweet spot between the edge of the drywall and the back of the silicone. And you're not going to be able to get all of it up, but again, you're going to be able to get most of it. Just like that. So I recommend a multi-tool for silicone removal, and then once you get most of it off, you've got another layer there. Can you see? Still stuck. You can take your washcloth and just try to wipe lots of passes, just trying to bunch that stuff up, and it will basically fall off and flake off on you. There's another view. Multi-tool most certainly works. You get most of that length off. Now, if you're working on a parallel or a horizontal surface, it works pretty well too. You can just kind of find that edge. And this was the silicone that held the bathroom vanity countertop to the top of the vanity. So it was actually silicone glued on there. And a shot of the washcloth. And you can play around with, you want it damp or dry, whatever works better for you. Mine's a little damp because I wanted to create a little bit of friction. But if it's wet, it's not going to have enough friction where it's going to rub off. So that works pretty well. So now let's move on to glue. You can see the backsplash for this countertop that I removed left a pretty nasty mess of really durable construction glue. Now the multi-tool, if you can kind of see what I'm doing here, I'm chiseling it off. That works pretty well. What you don't want to do, in a second I'll show you an image of this. You don't want to round out the edges of that. You want to keep them as square or 90 degrees as possible so that it chips off a little easier so that your blade has something to bite on. So don't be tempted, in my opinion, don't be tempted to sand this down thinking you're going to, not only are you going to damage the drywall, but you're going to round out some of those corners, and when you go to chisel it off later, you're not going to have anything where your blade can bite onto to chisel it off. So I made that mistake. I'm just kind of experimenting to see what method worked best for this glue removal. The glue is pretty durable, and I found that the sander did not work. Another really effective way, especially if you don't have a multi-tool, is to take a paint scraper like this, and again, find you'll have some jagged edges, right? You don't want those to be rounded off. And look what I'm going to do here. I'm going to just take a hammer and just chisel it off of there. And that's going to knock that glue off in big chunks. Now, is it perfect? No. You might have to, get out the sander a little bit, or maybe use the corner of your paint scraper a little bit. But I found this to be a really effective way to get the majority of the glue off. Now, you can see here I sanded this part down. See it just slipping off? So you don't want to sand it down. Like I said, it's not going to have anything to bite on, and you're just going to damage your drywall even more. So to the left there, I didn't really sand it very much, but to the right, I did. So let's see how it goes there. And you have to find that sweet angle, right, where you're not digging into the drywall, but it's not slipping off of the glue, if that makes sense. So the more white exposed there is what I'm after. I'm just trying to lift up all that glue so that I can apply my patch. Downward motions work pretty well too. And little by little, that's probably the fastest way that I figured out how to remove really nasty stubborn glue from drywall. Here's another shot of getting a close up and personal, using that corner of the paint scraper to kind of wedge underneath the glue in the drywall a little bit. All right, so those are the two ways. Now, obviously, fixing this up is another story, and I have separate videos out there on drywall repair, so search my channel if you're interested. But long story short here, we're taking some patch and we are going to be patching that up. And then I am a user of the washcloth as opposed to the orbital sander. That's just my personal preference because I like to save as much of that texture as possible on the drywall. Whereas if you sand it all down, you're gonna kind of ruin all that nice texture that's around your repair area, right? So a wet washcloth actually, once your patch is dry, kind of it has the same effect as a sander, but it saves most of your existing drywall. So that's long story short. Now, as far as repair goes, again, there's a separate video out on this, so if you want to know how to use this, search my channel. But this is a can of textured orange peel spray, and it's pretty awesome stuff. A couple little tricks that go along with it. For example, you can't just use it and then put it down. The nozzle will dry up and you won't be able to use it again. So I'll make a separate video, or I've made a separate video on that if you want more information. Like I said, search my channel. But pretty simple to use. You'll want to test it first, and then just give it some good sprays and try to find the best pattern that kind of matches your existing drywall orange peel. And then you paint it up, and that's pretty much it. So we will go ahead and stop the video there. You can see that is how you remove glue and silicone from drywall and do a quick little repair, do-it-yourself style. So be sure to subscribe for more videos like this, do-it-yourself style.